Trump just secretly signed an order to unleash the US military against Latin American cartels. And Europe's refugee crisis isn't just about boats anymore, it's about violent extremist networks tearing nations apart. I'm Andrew Meet Rich, former analyst for a state-run media outlet who chose truth over comfortable lies. Now I'm independent, living in Europe, exposing what mainstream media won't tell you. Here's what you need to know right now. The president quietly authorized Pentagon operations on foreign soil targeting cartel networks like Sinaloa and Tren de Aragua as terrorist organizations. But wait until you hear what this really means for sovereignty and international law. And in Europe, Germany just suspended UN refugee programs while far-right groups conduct arson attacks on asylum centers. This isn't coincidence, people. If you want truth instead of headlines, hit that like button and subscribe. Tell me in the comments what you think about military action against cartels, because tomorrow the news could change everything, and I need to know you're ready for what's coming. And stick around, because I've got sponsors who believe in independent journalism like this. Let's break down Trump's cartel war because mainstream media is missing the massive implications here. The president secretly signed a directive giving Pentagon authority for military operations at sea and on foreign soil against cartels designated as terrorist organizations. We're talking about Sinaloa cartel, Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and Venezuela's Cartel de los Soles. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said they can now target these groups using intelligence agencies, Department of Defense, whatever it takes. You won't believe this, but the executive order claims cartels control nearly all illegal traffic across the southern border and function as quasi-governmental entities in parts of Mexico. Here's where it gets even worse. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum firmly denied any U.S. military operations on Mexican territory, calling sovereignty non-negotiable. But Trump doesn't care about sovereignty when he's playing global police, does he? Legal experts warn this represents a dangerous escalation in Latin America, potentially constituting acts of aggression under international law. And now listen carefully. The WOLA analysis shows this kingpin strategy has failed repeatedly for 50 years, creating more violence without reducing illegal trade flows. What do you think about sending U.S. troops into Mexico? Comment below. But here's what nobody's telling you about Trump's cartel war. This isn't really about fentanyl or border security. Experts warn this directive threatens to unleash violence throughout Latin America under the broadly defined struggle against terrorism. Just imagine that for a second. The real target appears to be Venezuela's Cartel de los Soles, a shadowy network of military officers involved in narcotics trafficking. Trump raised the bounty on Nicolas Maduro to $50 million, claiming he's the head of this cartel operation. You see the pattern, right? This is regime change disguised as anti-cartel operations. The Justice Department warns this framing helps validate Trump's false claims about terrorists streaming over the southern border. Let me repeat that, false claims. The Parks Memorandum from 1989 already established legal precedent for targeting drug traffickers as combatants, not civilians. But international law doesn't matter when you're building domestic political support for military adventures. You won't believe this, but legal experts say unilateral military action without congressional approval raises questions about whether forces would be committing targeted eliminations rather than legitimate defense. If you're still with me, hit that like button. It tells me you want the truth, not just the headlines. But if you think this is bad, wait until you hear what's happening in Europe's refugee crisis. Now let's talk about Europe's refugee nightmare, because it's not what you think anymore. Germany just suspended its UN refugee resettlement program as the new conservative coalition prepares to take power. The new government ordered border police to turn away undocumented immigrants, rescinding a 2015 instruction that allowed entry. Here's where it gets even worse. Recent violent attacks in Magdeburg and Aschaffenburg by individuals with migration backgrounds have raised serious concerns about mass immigration links to violent crime. Politically motivated crimes surged 40% to record highs, with sharp growth in far-right violence against asylum seekers. And now listen carefully. Greece announced new legislation denying asylum to those reaching shores from North Africa, with human rights organizations calling it illegal. European elections in 2024 and 2025 saw far-right anti-migration parties grow dramatically in popularity. You won't believe this. German authorities arrested minors for founding a domestic terrorist organization, conducting arson attacks on refugee centers and community facilities. More than 3,000 migrants died crossing the Mediterranean Sea last year alone trying to reach Europe. What do you think about Europe's shifting policies? Comment below. But here's what mainstream media won't tell you about Europe's refugee crisis turning dangerous. The UK-France deal for boat returns is recycling racist border policies that failed before, just like the EU-Turkey agreement from 2016. White nationalist conspiracy theories about Muslim takeover of Europe gained prominence during the crisis, with far-right groups spreading great replacement theories. Let me repeat that. Conspiracy theories driving policy decisions. Germany's border controls with 9 neighbors risk creating a chain reaction threatening the Schengen free movement zone and European asylum system. Just imagine that for a second. Chancellor Friedrich Merz announced sweeping migration revisions, including thousands more border guards and turning away asylum seekers, steps ruled unlawful by Berlin courts. You see the pattern, right? Even Merz admitted they clearly did not cope with the situation and are trying to fix it now. Here's where it gets even worse. Migration deterrence simply does not work, experts warn. It only shifts routes and makes journeys more dangerous. European societies face choosing between fundamental principles of dignity and solidarity or abandoning civilization's core values. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want more truth like this. Here's what connects these two stories that nobody else is telling you. Both Trump's cartel war and Europe's refugee crisis represent the same dangerous pattern: leaders using military force and border militarization to solve political problems that require humanitarian solutions. The war on drugs has never really been about narcotics, it's always been a war against poor people. European refugee policies expose civilians to racist and xenophobic violence while weakening humanitarian protections. You see the pattern here. Violence creates more violence, not solutions. What's happening right now is the normalization of extreme measures that violate international law and human dignity. Trump's secret military directives and Europe's asylum denials both represent the breakdown of post-World War II humanitarian frameworks. And now listen carefully. This affects every one of us, because when governments abandon legal restraints abroad, they eventually abandon them at home too. Stay informed, stay alert, because tomorrow brings new revelations about how far our leaders will go. Like this video if you want more independent analysis, subscribe for daily truth-telling, and comment below with your thoughts about military solutions to humanitarian crises. Support independent journalism through my sponsors, because mainstream media won't investigate these connections. The truth matters more than comfortable lies, and together we'll keep exposing what they don't want you to know. Let me finish with my deepest gratitude goes to our sponsors. You are far more than supporters. You are the very lifeline of this channel. Without you, these stories wouldn't be told, this voice wouldn't be heard, and the pursuit of truth would fade into silence. Because of your faith in independent journalism, I can stand here and speak openly, without compromise and without fear. And to everyone watching, you matter just as much. Each time you subscribe, each like you give, each comment you leave, you strengthen this mission and send a clear message that real voices cannot be silenced. Hitting that subscribe button is not just a click, it's a commitment to standing with something bigger. Adding your comment is not just feedback, it's proof that truth still resonates and that people refuse to turn away. So take a moment now. Subscribe, press like, and share your thoughts below. Help us keep this channel alive, growing, and impossible to ignore. Together we become stronger, louder, and unstoppable.